This free one-click AI super agent is absolutely insane. It's kind of like the new Manus, except it has even more powerful parts to it. So today what we're going to be talking through is Genspark, which is kind of like an alternative to Manus. Manus was another kind of AI agent where you could build and deploy almost anything that you want. And I'm going to be showing you exactly how to use it. Now, you can use it one time for free per day, and you can see some of the stuff it can do. So it can actually, like, for example, create South Park style videos, stitch them all together. We have, for example, another example here where we've actually built out a full website. So let's open this up. I'll show you what this can do. Let's pull this up. All right, so you can see, for example, here it just went off inside Genspark, gave it a prompt, said research Julian Goldie and create an SEO agency website for him, and it went off and did its magic. Let's pull up another example right here. So we actually created this AI writing tool over here. I'll show you all the details are inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to get the video notes for this, including the prompts. But essentially, we created this SEO content generator that can use Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT. It's kind of like a lead generation tool as well. It has links to our funnels. So you can see this on the right-hand side over here. And pretty wild stuff. I mean, it even took some testimonials from the website, and it promotes us whilst allowing people to plug in their Gemini tool API key, right? So for example, if we go to aistudio.google.com, we'll grab an API key, we'll plug that into our tool, and this was fully generated and deployed with Genspark. Like you can see, we can plug in our example keyword, hit generate SEO content. We can then plug in a example, and we can also add additional instructions if you want. Hit generate SEO content, and that actually generates an article using the Google Gemini API key, right? So it's like a free SEO content generator. And literally all I said to Genspark, if we actually have a look at the chat, let me show you an example of what the chat looks like. We said to Genspark, create an AI SEO content writer tool based on the prompt below. Here's how to do it. People should be able to plug in the API key. This tool should promote Julian Goldie and everything he sells, make it look cool, modern, sleek, etc. Here's my favorite prompt for generating content. And literally within, I would say, about 5 to 10 minutes, it had like a prototype ready to go. Went back and forth with it a little bit. It redesigned it, and boom, we have that ready to go. Like you see right here, it's actually available for anyone to use, and it is completely free if you use a Gemini API key. So Genspark is absolutely insane what you can do with it and how powerful it is. And now you can build and deploy SaaS tools, you can create games, you can create full websites, and it really doesn't require much work at all. I'm just going to delete my API key, so we don't want to be showing that on a video. So let me delete that. But yeah, if you want a free API key, get it from AI Studio, and then you can plug it into whatever tool you create with Genspark, okay? Let's keep going through, and I'll show you another example. So we actually created a game, and I'll show you the output plus a prompt in a second. So this was a 3D game that we created. I just said create an SEO themed 3JS game with 3D animations that's fun to play. Tools should promote Julian Goldie and everything he sells, make it look modern, cool, sleek, etc. And Julian's catchphrase is insane, right? So can we insert that into a game somehow in a funny way? And then it went off and created Julian Goldie's insane SEO adventure. And then it's got, for example, how to play. So you collect keywords to boost your rankings, gather backlinks, avoid algorithm updates, and find insane bonuses. All right, if we start the journey over here, we can see an example. So you want to avoid the red ones, and then we want to collect backlinks and keyword research. Like you can see, we get the insane boost with the yellow icons. And then if we go to the red ones, you'll see that that's an update, right? So that's a Google update. You want to avoid those, and then you can just play this little 3D game like you can see. And then on the left-hand side over here, we've got keywords, backlinks, domain authority, SERP position, organic traffic, and you can see it kind of goes up and down as a chart. And there we go. All right, that's Julian Goldie's insane SEO adventure ready to play right there. I'll leave all the links inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you go inside the SOP section here, and then you go down to April, you can see all my latest SOPs, and you can see the Genspark example plus prompts that you can just customize and build yourself if you want to create stuff like this. All right. So really powerful, super interesting what you can do with it. You can even, for example, like generate audio. So you can see it's generating audio inside Genspark here as well. This was with the South Park example prompt. and it seems super fast. Now, again, it's free if you use it just like once per day. If you just want to absolutely rinse it for credits, obviously you have to pay for that. But I think it's still cheaper than Manus. It's something like £25. So pretty awesome right there and super easy to use. Okay, so let's keep going through now. If you want to see an example of like what Manus creates, so let me pull up an example right here if we can find it. So this is an example from Manus of an AI SEO content writer. We'll go onto that page right here and we'll compare them side by side. Okay, so this is the one from Manus, and if you actually see the outputs from Genspark, I would say the outputs are much better from Genspark when I compare, like, okay, what's the quality of what it's creating? Okay, so for example, if we have a look, this is the Manus, and you see that's hosted at manus.space. If we compare that to the tool we created with Genspark, it just looks, I would say, better side by side. So let's pull these up side by side and we'll show you exactly what the difference is here. All right, so you see how this is like customized to me. It's got my face on there, etc. Still has the buttons at the top, which are very similar, but this just feels a lot more unique to me. It's got images of me, my face, etc. It's got nice little reviews inside there, links to my SEO Elite Circle, my featured products. Whereas this one, just from Manus, just feels a little bit more basic. I would say Genspark overall, it feels like a new generation of super agents, right? It's almost like Manus was a step behind, and Manus is still cool, still a powerful tool, but I think Genspark wins as well. Also, you can see inside the AI content writer right here, you can't, let's have a look. So if you click on API settings, you get GPT-4, Google AI Studio, and Claude, whereas this one is actually using the latest Gemini 2.5. All right, and then seems like you can plug in your API key from whichever one you want. If we click on get a Gemini API key, does that actually take you to the right place? Interesting. Yeah, so you get the point. Like, I just think it's a totally different generation of tools, and also this was super fast to do. Right, so literally we just gave it one prompt, then we gave it another prompt, just tweaking it, and it was ready to go off to the races. So really powerful. The other thing here you can do is you can also generate videos, which you can't do inside Manus. So you can see here we've got an option of like mixture of agents, Kling, Pixaverse, Luma Labs, Gemini Veo, or Hunyuan. And then you've got a choice between like image to video, which portrait dimensions you want. So you can have landscape or portrait, and then whether you want it like 3 to 5 or 5 to 10 seconds. 5 to 10 seconds is only available on the premium plan. But again, you can ask Genspark to stitch multiple video clips together as well. So that's another option right there. All right. So pretty cool. And then the other thing that you can do here, and I've not tested this out, but you can actually, for example, ask it to call for you. So this is really crazy. Like, you can actually say, for example, call the store. So this is Buster Pro Tennis in California. And someone has said, call the store to ask if they have the new Yonex 2025 E-Zone. That's the 8th generation E-Zone in Blast Blue. I'm looking for the 98 square inch head size, 305 grams, etc. If they don't know, 100 will be fine, etc. And then, yeah, she called up the assistant, made the call, and you can see the summary of the transcription plus the full transcription right there, along with the date and the time of the phone call. Absolutely wild. And you can play it back as well if you want to see the audio and example, stuff like that. And I've not seen like any other agent. I know Google like promised to do this years ago, but I've never seen like an AI agent that can actually do this. Whereas, for example, Genspark seems to be able to do outbound phone calls for you, videos, deep research, etc. Pretty simple and easy. Right? So really cool. And then you can see here the benchmarks. So if we pull up the benchmarks, if we compare Genspark versus Manus versus OpenAI, Genspark is leading the way on all the benchmarks. I always take them with a little pinch of salt, but you get the point. Like, it is a really crazy thing that you can do inside here as well. So yeah, absolutely awesome. Let's have a look what else we got here. So you can actually click and see the example prompts that people have run. So if we click on start replay, we can replay other conversations that people have done. And you can also click on continue conversation and then pick up where the user left off, right? So if I type in here, I can type in anything to carry on from there. But yeah, it's just a whole new generation of super agents that I've never seen before. Wild stuff. And then also inside here, what you can see is like you've got an option. So if you do, for example, like, all right, I want to have dinner at a seafood restaurant with outdoor tables where I can see the skyline, blah, 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 preferably by the Coronado Ferry Center. When it comes up with the actual restaurants, it gives you the views and everything like that. Pretty basic, but you can actually get the AI to call for you, right? And that is not available inside Manus. So if you go inside Manus and we compare the output side by side, you're not going to be able to get Manus to be able to book phone calls for you or book restaurants for you. And then also you can't do video generation inside Manus as well. And then also like the outputs from Genspark just seem to be a bit more advanced. So yeah, any sort of AI tool that you have in mind, you can just build directly inside the super agent. So for example, we say, okay, create, and actually what I'll do is I'll take an example prompt from the AI Profit Boardroom. So let me grab some stuff right here. See what we got. Yeah, so let's design an AI growth calculator. So we'll plug that in. And then what I'm also going to do is grab a prompt from the Genspark section and just add that in. So this section right here, we'll plug that in like so. And then we said, design an interactive AI growth calculator for Goldie agencies websites. Users input their hourly rate, hours worked per month, and current inefficiencies. Calculator estimates potential time, show potential revenue increases, include the CTA, blah, blah, blah. And then it can go off and do that. Now, cool thing about this is like you can create awesome lead generation tools for your business, right? So for example, let's say you're selling the AI automation, right? What we can do is we can put AI automation tool, something like that into Ahrefs, and we can find what people are looking for actively on Google. Then we can actually search down to low keyword difficulty tools that we could potentially create and deploy and build around here, right? We could also try AI automation calculator, for example, something like that as well, and just find easy stuff to rank for. So let's have a look. AI calculator. Let's plug that in. And you can see a bunch of examples of calculators that we can build and deploy using Genspark. All right, so for example, physics AI calculator or AI body fat calculator, etc. They would be very easy to build and deploy with Genspark. And then, you know, depending on what your niche is, you can rank for them, right? So for example, if you look at this AI finance calculator, how easy would it be for you to build that? Very easy. You just go into Genspark and say, build me an AI finance calculator. Then you can deploy it, grab the code. So you can see you get the code down here. You can download that code and host it on some of the tools I'm going to show you later. All right. So we'll come on to that later in another section of the video. But yeah, essentially you can grab the code, deploy it, build whatever you want, build tools, find potential lead generation tools that you could build. And then, for example, we've done that with this output right here, where we've built like a kind of tool we could use for lead generation. The people basically get a free tool, and then it sends traffic to our funnels. For example, the free strategy session, SEO elite circle, etc. So pretty powerful stuff. And you know, these tools are really, really cool. So for example, this one right here, this is something we actually built with Manus, and you could easily build that out with Genspark as well. And then if we go into Google right here, let me pull up a new window. You can see that actually for the keyword that we built the website around, so AI Profit Boardroom, you can see our website is ranking #1 for that keyword, right? And this was all automated and built with Manus. So you could easily do the same thing inside Genspark and then go off and build whatever you want, right? And actually, we have a bunch more examples inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you go to the Manus AI Build Anything section, you can see all this stuff we've built, and you could also build that with Genspark as well. So for example, like a fantasy game example, or AICO tool, content writer, directory website, presentations, websites, etc. So let's see what we get back now from Genspark. So it's done its magic. Let's open that up. So if you click on this section right here, open a new window, you can open it up. You can also export this. I think it's going to export as a PDF. So it's not going to export the code. It will export the PDF. So if you create a presentation, then you can export that directly. And then also you can just grab the code right here, right? So you can copy that code and then use it however you want, right? And now you can see the AR growth calculator. Looks pretty nice. Got information about us. It's got links to our social media channels and also to book in a strategy session. And it's super nicely designed, as you can see, right? Now, if we switch and toggle this around, click on calculate your growth potential, it's figured all of this out for us, right? So it's created a tool where people can basically calculate the monthly cost savings, the time saved, potential SEO traffic increase, revenue increase, etc. And then people can just book in an AI session ready to go right there. If you want to get the prompt and the tips for that, I'll put it inside the AI Profit Boardroom, inside the Genspark section. But I mean, how long did that take? How fast was that? Usually Manus takes quite a long time as well, whereas this built it in like literally 5 minutes and built it perfectly. All right. So that's the AI automation dashboard tool. You can check out the tool there. I'll grab the prompt as well, so that if you want to customize this to your own business, you can. And then let me grab that chat link right there. There we go. So if you want to see all of my best prompts tips, I've also got a 15-minute tutorial on Genspark. It's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom link in the comments description, so make sure you check it out. This community is all about like making more money and saving time with AI, so feel free to get it. And prices are going up this month, so make sure you sign up now before you miss out on the legacy price. And also inside here, there's 692 members, right? So you can ask 692 people any questions you have about AI. You see, it's a very active community, lots of people asking questions and getting answers. And if you want help, this is probably the best place to go, right? Also comes with all my best courses on like email content automation, social media, AI agents, web automation, AI SEO automation, NA10 templates, a crash course plus SOPs, as you can see. And additionally, this is updated pretty much every single day, right? So if you go to the SOP section over here, even for April, it's only the 5th, but we've added like 5 new sections right here with all the latest updates on the tools, right? So it's one of the most active communities in the AI world, and you can sign up, link in the comments description. Additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month. If you want more free customers and more leads and more money from your website, then feel free to book this in. This is basically going to show you how to get more traffic from Google so that you can scale your business on autopilot based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Thank you so much. Cheers, JJ. Appreciate it. I was absolutely blown away by Genspark. Me too. It's absolutely amazing. Me too. Tried to build NA10 workflow, and it's amazing. I've been using it all day, no charge. That's crazy. I didn't realize you could use it that much, but that's pretty cool. Welcome, Dr. Julian. I'm building a complex investment calculator. It's absolutely amazing. And Petty Betty says, I just found AI and I'm never leaving the rabbit hole. Good on you. Good to see you here. All right. So next up, I'm going to cover a really interesting new tool that I found. And the world is going crazy about this. All right. So let me just pull up an example in the background right here. If you have any questions, by the way, before we move on, feel free to ask them right now before you miss out. Quasar Alpha. Quasar Alpha is absolutely insane. So what you can see here is this is a new cloaked AI model that has just come out. It's completely free. It's got 1 million tokens context, which is insane. Doesn't cost you any money. And from what I've tested so far, it's super impressive. So it's a new stealth model that's just come out from OpenRouter. I'll show you how to plug it into different tools and test it out as well. You can also use the chat right here. So just go to openrouter.ai, get your free account. You can sign up and start using it inside the chat right here. And a lot of people are going crazy about this, right? So, some people are saying that it's kind of like a really new, mysterious model. A lot of people have been benchmarking it and saying it's blazing fast. Plus, it performs on par with Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is a expensive model, and normally you would have to pay for that. And this is completely free, right? Quasar Alpha is completely free. I've also tested out for coding. It's super interesting, and OpenRouter have said excited to announce our first ever stealth model. All right, so it's a pre-release of an upcoming long context foundation model from one of the model labs. Some people are saying it's Gemini 2.5 Ultra. Other people are saying it is the new release from OpenAI. Nobody's quite sure, but it's very, very interesting. And you can see some of the stuff people have been creating right here. It can even create music, I think some people are saying, right? So you can see here what people are building directly. Again, some people are saying that this is an upcoming model from OpenAI, because OpenAI actually just said that they've revised their roadmap and they'll be releasing O3, O4 Mini, and GPT-5 within the next few months. And you can see what sort of stuff it can build, right? So, for example, it created this really powerful hexagon with vibrant bouncing balls. It seems to be pretty strong at coding. We'll test out inside this video right here. Matthew Berman, absolute YouTube legend, was posting about this as well. And he was saying that it's a 1 million token context model beating Claude 3.7 Sonnet on benchmarks whilst running 4 times faster. How crazy is that? 4x faster. All right. And you can get it available at OpenRouter. You can get early access. I'll also show you some of the benchmarks here so you can see how it's performing, and it's performing really well right now. And additionally, it is completely free. Okay. So if you want to get access to it, you would just go to openrouter.ai. Then you're going to go to the chat and just select Quasar Alpha. All right. Now, if you can't find it, just type it in the search model section here, and you can see it comes with 1 million context tokens, super fast. Loads of people using it within Rucode and Climb, which I'll show you how to insert, and we'll test it out in a second as well. I've been blown away by how fast it is. If we go to the chat right here, we can do some examples. So if I take an example prompt, and we'll say, okay, generate a HTML file with vibrant bouncing balls in a hexagon, wait for that to load. You can see how fast it is, right? So this is coding at the same level as something like Claude 3.7 Sonnet or 3.5 Sonnet, according to the people that I showed you on Twitter a second ago. And if we copy this and test it out, we'll plug this into LiveWeave and just see how it performs, all right? So you can see an example right there. And you can just build out whatever you want using this process, all right? Let's take another one. So we're going to say here inside a new room, new chat, using Quasar Alpha, create an interactive water molecule simulation that visualizes the formation and breaking of hydrogen bonds in real time. You can see how fast it is. It's absolutely rapid. All right, so it's really, really fast. And you can also use the API from this as well, which I'll show you in a second. So you don't just have to use the chat. Let's grab the HTML file over here, plug that into LiveWeave again, and look at that. It's just working perfectly. All right, and then we can speed up the temperature. There's no lagginess or anything like that. I mean, if we compare this side by side with something like Claude, so we'll add a model here and we'll select Claude. And we'll just see how it performs, right? So we're going to use exactly the same prompt. We've got Claude 3.7 Sonnet and we've got Quasar Alpha. And we'll plug in the same prompt here. And let's see which one is faster and which one builds a better output. So you can see how fast Quasar Alpha is versus Claude, right? So it seems to be a lot quicker. Like this is pretty much finished the coding, whereas Claude is taking its sweet time. Is Claude even coded anything there? It says I've created an interactive water simulation, but there's nothing here, right? If we open up the example from Quasar, actually went off and did its magic, all right? So if we compare it side by side, Claude 3.7 Sonnet didn't even create anything, whereas Quasar actually did. Let's test it out directly inside Claude 3.7 Sonnet inside the chat feature. Maybe we'll get better outputs here. So I'm going to delete that, and then we'll grab the prompt here. Probably because I didn't type the prompt in properly. And we'll see which one performs the best. All right. We can also X off that. But you can see that Claude 3.7 Sonnet is a lot slower. And also, if you want to code with Claude 3.7 Sonnet as an API, is going to cost you money each time you use it. Whereas you can use it, you can use Quasar Alpha for free directly inside the chat here. So it's taking its sweet time. Yeah, so you can see this is a lot faster using Quasar, and the outputs are pretty good, as you can see. Let's test one more now. So I'm going to create a game with Quasar. We'll say, okay, make me a captivating endless runner game, key instructions on the screen, P5.js, C, no HTML, etc. I like pixelated dinosaurs and interesting backgrounds. To be fair, I think I still prefer the output from Claude. You can see here, just like the UI is a lot nicer. But if you're looking for a free API to code with, then Quasar could be better, right? And then we've got the P5.js ready to go. Let's test that out. If you want to test this stuff out, just go to editor.p5js.org, plug that in, we can hit play, and we have that ready to go, right? That seems to be working. There we go. Look at that. Code's blazing fast, creates games, creates tools, simulations, etc. And we're living the dream. I still don't think that's as good as something like Claude 3.7 Sonnet or Gemini 2.5 Pro from what I can see, but I love the speed of it. Like the speed of it is absolutely insane. All right, so if you want to start coding with this as well, what you can do is you can go over to keys over here, create key, and then just create a key for OpenAI. Once you've done that, then you can download something like Visual Studio Code. So go to code.visualstudio.com. If you're struggling to set any of this up, join the AI Profit Boardroom because it shows you exactly how to set this stuff up. Then we're going to open up Visual Studio Code directly here. We'll go into something like root code, settings, and then inside settings, we want to select Open Router, and then inside Open Router, we're going to select Alpha, and we should be able to code with it. You can see Open Router Quasar Alpha right there. All right, we'll hit save, we're done, boom. So just note here as well, so it supports images, but it doesn't support computer use or support prompt caching. All right, and then let's try, for example, a prompt right here from the AI Profit Boardroom. We'll create something basic right now. We'll create something like generate an SEO cost calculator website, simple one file HTML, just to keep it simple and easy so we can show you how it works. And you can see that works really quickly right here. Now we're using boomerang mode as well. I've got a video on that yesterday if you want to check out how I use boomerang mode to code. But inside root code, we can just build out and code whatever we want using this process. And we can do this all for free, right? Visual Studio Code is free, root code is free, and then the API from Quasar Alpha is free as well. And then you can just build whatever you want. But it'd be very interesting to see, is this a model from, for example, the new Google updates or from OpenAI? I don't know, but the internet is going crazy over it. So it's now coding that out. You know, and this is a great thing as well about AI now. It's like, you know, you can build and code even if you don't know how to code, and you just have to give it an idea. So if we hit run command over here, this should open it up, and we've got the SEO cost calculator ready to go, and it's built out right there. All right. Let's test something else out now. So we're going to say, okay, create a self-playing snake game. It now splits everything into subtasks. Again, I would definitely recommend checking out my video on Boomerang if you want to learn how to build out stuff like this, like almost seamlessly. So you've got a full sort of army of AI agents building out subtasks together. But you can see how this works and how quick it is. And you can also use OpenRouter and Quasar inside Klein as well. So if we go over here and you select OpenRouter Quasar Alpha, you can get that set up. Then we're going to hit save. And let's see if this runs properly. All right, so it's created it, ready to go. We'll run the command. That one didn't work so well. So I do think it's not perfect, right? So if we check this out, like you can see how you can't actually play. I'm actually going to save to this. This just says game over and it's inside playing. So let's see if it can fix itself as well. Now it's creating more subtasks with the Boomerang feature. This is the biggest difference as well. If you're thinking about coding with RuCode or with Klein, RuCode is really good because it uses that Boomerang feature, right, to segment everything into separate tasks. And we've hit the quota limit on that. So it seems pretty smooth up to that point. That is not ideal. Let me test out if we can do it inside the chat right here. We'll see how good it is. All right, so if we go to OpenRouter, Quasar, chat, and we'll just say now, okay, create a self-playing snake game in HTML and see if it works better inside the chat. Because it's hit the quota directly inside the API. All right, so it's already come back to us for that. Let's make sure this actually works. Plug that in. Yeah, that works perfectly. All right, so if you ever run out of the API credits directly inside RuCode or Klein, then just go back to the chat inside OpenRouter, and it seems to be a lot more smoother. It actually seems to give better outputs inside the chat than inside RuCode. RuCode didn't work the first time we tried this, which is quite interesting as well. But yeah, there you go. And then this will keep retrying until you actually get back the quota, right? So you might have to wait a few seconds. And now that is working perfectly. Great. All right, so you know how to self-correct stuff, how to build games, apps, tools. You could use this for landing pages, websites, etc. Or you can just use it as kind of like a free alternative to Claude 3.5 Sonnet or 3.7 Sonnet. The limits don't seem to get hit inside the chat as much, whereas if you're coding with the API, that seems to use a lot more credits and a lot more. You seems to have a limit on the quota. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get all my best prompts, tips, workflows, etc. for using APIs and setting up OpenRouter or Klein or, for example, RuCode as well, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This is a community focused on making more money and saving time with AI. So if you want to scale your business, if you feel like you're behind, if you want my best sort of click and deploy AI agents and systems, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. For example, like if you just want to set up an AI-powered short-form generator. Well, you can download the workflow here and then just upload it straight into NA10. And all of these modules right here have different templates, workflows, etc. Right? There's even a crash course to save hundreds of hours of AI. And you can see this gets updated daily with all of my best systems, prompts, and workflows. And on top of that, this comes with weekly Q&A calls. So you can jump on the live Q&As, ask any questions that you have. And if you get stuck in between the Q&A calls, you can ask questions inside the community and get help directly right there. All right, so feel free to get that link in the comments and description. Prices are going up this month, so make sure you lock in your legacy price right now before you miss out. And you can see the schedule for weekly calls right here. Additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how to get more leads, traffic, and sales with SEO, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. We'll basically show you how to get more free customers scale your business and make more money from Google. All right. So this shows you how to go from 0 to 145,000 visitors this month based on what's working for our clients and for us, as you can see from all the testimonials right here. And also on that call, normally you're paying SEO consultants like thousands of dollars per hour. Now you can book in a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, and it's completely free, right? Just jump on the call. You got nothing to lose. So feel free to get that link in the comments description. Appreciate you watching. Scott says, see you in the boardroom. Thanks, bro. Happy to help. What is the boomerang? Just search Julian Goldie root code boomerang, and you'll see like a couple of videos on that, so you can see it on there. Patty says, I've never heard of Genspark. Not going to sleep tonight. Casper says, I wish the Quasar. Yeah, I would too. I would love computer use on a new API. It would save me a lot of money. I tell you that for free. And can you give it something very complex as a task? I think you could, for sure. For sure. Root code versus Genspark versus Manus. That is a great video idea, my friend. Might do that tomorrow. Thank you. And then Casper says OpenRouter. Yeah, free API platform is OpenRouter. All right. If you want the links to that, just get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So feel free to ask any questions before we move on in a second. We'll come to the final section of this live stream. Thanks to everyone watching, by the way. Appreciate it. And if you do need live help, if you want to jump on calls with us, just join the AI Profit Boardroom, because that has live calls where you can ask any questions, pull up your business, pull up the tools that you're trying to create, and then ask us any questions about that stuff as well. So really awesome stuff. And Casper says, thanks for the AI news update. Always good stuff. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, sir. Today, I'm going to show you Yourware, where you can basically deploy anything in one single click. This is like a Vibe Coders Instagram. It's absolutely awesome for sharing your code, deploying it in one click, and even improving it massively, right? So you can see some of people's creations right here. I'll show you some of the best examples. So this is, for example, like a Polaroid camera app, and it was deployed to Yourware. This is completely free, by the way, so you can just put your code in here, plug it in, and not only can you quickly host tools, but you can also improve them, which I'll show you how to do in a second as well. So you can, for example, say use the camera, and then we can take a cheeky picture of ourselves right here. And then we've got that picture ready to go inside the Polaroid camera app. Pretty insane, right? Here's another example. So this is some other stuff that people have deployed. This is a game, I believe. And yeah, we can, for example, play this Neon Snake game. And the other cool thing is as well, if you're wondering, okay, how do you deploy the stuff that you create with HTML inside AI? Well, this is one of the best ways to do it, because you can do it for free and you can give your tools a makeover. So let me show you exactly what we're doing right here. It's available at yourware.so. And essentially, here's another example, by the way. Essentially, what we can do, for example, let's say we've got this interactive water molecule simulation. What we can do is we can grab the HTML from there. Then we can go to something like Yourware SO, right? It's free to sign up for an account. And then you can either upload the file or the folder with the code that you have, or you can go into paste the code right here, hit deploy code. That will upload it, like you can see. And then we have that deployment ready to go. Now, if we click on visit site, you can see that we have a new subdomain ready to go right here. And this simulator works perfectly. The other thing that we can do here is we can also share this. So we can copy that link and we can either make it public or we can make it private, right? So if you can add like a password to it, that is a password to access this tool, for example, and you can share that with your team. Otherwise, if you want to make this public for everyone, then you can share it just like this. You can add a cover as well, so you can insert a cover right here and upload a cover. And then if we copy the link, open it up, we've just deployed to a subdomain for free in like one click. It's really, really great for just uploading and sharing the creations that you have, right? Now, the other thing that you can do here is on Yourware, is you can click on Boost My Design. And if you do that, you can actually give your tool a complete makeover. So if we click on Boost over here, it's going to say your AI style boost magic is being performed. And then it actually analyzes on an audit level the UI elements and how to improve it, right? So you can kind of vibe code and improve the content and the tools that you build. And, you know, if you're not sure about coding, like I know a lot of people here, particularly me, like I'm not great at coding. This is just a great way to improve the code that you have, and then it'll rewrite it just in one click, right? So you've already deployed the code, you've already created it, you can already see the original project, right? So that's the original version. And then we've got the new version right here. And by the way, inside the AI Profit Boardroom, you can see all the examples of what we shared right here and why you would use it, right? So there's 3 reasons really. Number 1 is I get asked all the time, like, how do you deploy your web apps? Number 2 is you can boost and redesign your tools. And number 3, you can actually remix and edit other people's tools as well, which is pretty cool. So just waiting for that to load. If you want to see some other examples of what we built with this, so here's a before and after, right? So this is the old deployment of a tool that we built, and then I actually clicked on Boost My Design, and it totally revamped it into this bad boy, right? And this version, obviously, it looks 10 times better. So if you're creating tools and they're like, okay, they work, but I need to improve them and level them up, then you can easily use that inside Yourware, right? And that's the difference here versus here. Totally different, right? So let's come back to Yourware. That is still coding out. I think it as well depends on the complexity of the tool, right? So if you've got something really complex like a water molecule simulation, then obviously that's going to take a bit more time to improve and revamp. All right, but how much better does that look versus the old version? So that's the old version before we boosted it. Super basic and simple. All right, let me close that. And then we've got the new version over here. So let's pull them up side by side and we'll see the difference. So before and after, right, with Yourware. And this is deployed to a subdomain as well, right, automatically that you can share. So for example, on here, the UI is a lot nicer. You can adjust the temperature. It talks about the state of the water, the current temperature, did you know, etc. It's got an interesting fact, nice headlines, and then also information about it, right? Whereas if you look at this one, super basic, doesn't really look as interesting. People are not going to use that as much, right? And it's not as sophisticated, I would say. Now, when you start building out other tools that are more complex, like for example, this SEO score calculator tool, you can see here how the old version and the new version are basically night and day different, right? The UI is a lot nicer here, nicer icons. Totally revamped in the UI. It's a bit more complex inside the tool, etc. So yeah, you can quickly just improve tools that you have. I think this will be awesome as well for games, right? If you have a game that you want to just make 10 times better, and then you can do that with the code and with the deployments directly inside Yourware as well, right? The cool thing here as well, like you can just see what other people are creating. So for example, if we open this up, someone created like a Wolf of Wall Street, Stratton, Oakmont website, and then hosted it directly on the website, right? So it's really interesting what you could do. I wonder as well whether you could actually take the code from like your existing website and then ask the AI to revamp it. That would be pretty interesting too, right? So for example, if we went on to Claude, we said, okay, create a landing page for Julian Goldie's SEO agency. And we'll get the code from Claude, and then we'll plug that into Yourware. The other thing we can do as well is like we can take the new deployment and then revamp that again. All right. So if we go on the After Boost over here, we could take the code from that page, redeploy it, and then revamp it. So let's see what we get right here from Claude. But yeah, the main thing here is like, you know, if you're a vibe coder or if you're learning how to code and that sort of thing, you know, you can generate code, but it's a bit of a struggle to deploy and share that stuff, right? Whereas with Yourware, it's more like an Instagram vibe coder. So it can handle everything for you. It's great for like non-developers, AI tool users, beginners, designers, and content creators. And, you know, you can do all this sort of stuff inside there. So let's come back to Claude right now. We'll wait for that to load. Tempted to use Quasar Alpha for this, just to make it faster. Let's see if we can do that. So go over to OpenRouter, Quasar Alpha, which is this new stealth model. Put in the chat here. And then we'll say in HTML. All right, that's a lot faster, isn't it? It's insane how fast Quasar Alpha is. All right, so we've got the HTML ready to go. Then we can go over to Yourware. We can paste in the code, the HTML, hit deploy code. All right, and we've got a really basic website right there, right? So we can visit the site that was deployed, boom, ready to go. And then if we click on boost my website, much better. Now you can use other stuff, like for example, you can use Netlify to host stuff. But the thing is, number one, Netlify has limited subdomains. Number two, it can host your code, but you have to drag and drop a folder. You can't just paste in the code, which is, it takes a little bit more time. And then also you can't boost the code in the same way, right? So this is basically designed for vibe coding. Like it's designed to like take the code that you have and already level up. So we'll see what we get back in a second. So let's see as well what it's improved here. So it said the hero section, you know, the CTA button color clashes on the blue background. That's another thing that I find typically with, you know, with AIs, like it doesn't have a very sophisticated understanding of like how to design, right? So for example, quite often you can put gray on gray and, you know, buttons and that sort of thing don't really stand out. And the About Us lacks clear separation, misaligned vertically. Yeah, so it basically just figures out all the problems and then it uses these industry standard references to improve stuff, right? So clickability, visual hierarchy, etc. is using that. And then it actually rates the UI out of 10, which is pretty insane. So like, even if you just wanted to improve the UI of stuff, this could be a better way. And let's see what else we got here. So it creates an improvement plan, kind of like an architect. List step by step all the stuff it's going to do. So like redesign the color scheme, implement a better visual hierarchy, redesign service cards, revamp the why choose us, enhance the testimonials, etc. And then we'll wait for that to load. But yeah, if you look at this, it's super basic, right? Yeah. All right, so we've got the code right here. Now it is publishing and deploying. Let's see what we got back. And yeah, so you got something that's 10 times nicer, right? I would still change some of the images and that sort of thing. But you can see this actually looks like a proper website, whereas the old version was super basic, and it's already deployed. So like you don't have to click deploy or anything like that. It's just ready to go, and you've got it right there. All right. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to that, it's available at yourware.so. I'll put a link inside the comments description, and you can also get all of my best prompts inside the AI Profit Boardroom, along with all these courses, weekly Q&A calls, and a community. All right. And yourware is completely free, just to click and deploy stuff. So there you go. Feel free to get a link in the comments description. Additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that on this free link building acceleration session. You get a free SEO domination plan. You'll discover the secrets of SEO link building, and we'll show you how to grow your website's SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients like you see right here. Appreciate you watching, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Yeah, Casper says Netlify is for sure more complicated. That would be interesting. Whether I think once you got the code, you're all good to go, right? So you got no issues there. But yeah, and Barry says thanks, Julian. Good stuff. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. All right, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.